distant 1324, a fleet of Catalan ships approached near to extremity of the Gulf of Cagliari, where, with an hardened army, landed aided by the infant Alfonso of Aragon. All this took place to cast from Sardinia the Pisans, which dominated the region for over 190 years, exploiting its mineral resources of silver, lead and copper. The landing of Catalan troops taken place near the Calaritan hill of Bonaria. As a sign of devotion and gratitude to the Holy Trinity and Holy Mary for having given a quick victory against enemy's troops, the Infant of Aragon erected a church on the top of the hill. Then, in 1335, King Alfonso of Aragon made a donation of the church and its duties pertaining to the Order of Mercy, in order that a convent can be founded on condition that there were always 6 priests who celebrated the Mass every day. The Order of Mercy was founded in Barcelona in 1280 by the noble knight San Peter Nolasco. The order began to develop in Italy in 13th century. The aim of association consisted of the liberation of victims who were kidnapped by the barbarous pirates. The ransom of the victims was contracted with the owner of the misfortunes by paying a sum of money. To do this, the order is also instructed to seek alms with the money for this humanitarian work. Friar Carlo Catalano, noble of Cagliari, with Aragonese roots, was the founder of the convent of Bonaria. Religious illuminated by the Holy Spirit for his humanity and self-sacrifice for one's neighbor, made a prophecy. There would be a permanent guest in the convent, which he was, thank our God, prosperity to the port and church, which was taken the name of the Virgin Mary of Bonaria. After the death of Carlo Catalano, the 25th March 1370, a ship from Spain, full of merchandise and surely not direct in Sardinia, were in deadly storm. The captain, as the situation was critical, ordered the sailors to throw overboard all the cargo, including a large, heavy wooden cache. Immediately, the sea calmed down. The cache stayed strangely afloat. Unlike all other objects, led the ship's crew attempting to recover it, but these inexplicably began to steer towards the convent not far from the hill of Bonaria. A crowd of people, including fishermen, were up to lift it up but without results. The voice of finding came up to castle and a crowd is poured on the beach. Then it was that the child is asked for assistance to the convent's friars. 2 religious ran at the beach and without any effort raised the cache and transported it up to the church of Bonaria. On one side of cache there was carved the crest of Mercedarian. Opening the lid appeared a beautiful wooden statue of Holy Virgin Mary. With the left arm holding a chubby child and a lighted candle on the right hand, the statue was raised and exposed to the public veneration. Everyone kneeled down and recited the Te Deum and Salve Regina. Thank you, wonderful Mother, to be coming among us. Thank you for your protection and your consideration. Holy Mother, Lady of all saints. The acclamations of the people invocated her like Our Lady of Bonaria, from the name of the hill of Cagliari. These facts are described in the canonical trial, held from 4th March to 31st July 1592, by the Archbishop of Cagliari, Don Francis del Val. During the following centuries, especially in Latin America, many churches were dedicated to the Holy Virgin of Bonaria. Colombia, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Peru, but especially Argentina, that entitled its capital city, Buenos Aires, to Holy Mary of Bonaria. The style of the shrine, built on the edge of the fortified citadel, is pure Catalan Gothic, built between the 1324 and 1326. The main facade has a simple line, like a hut. To access to the church enters from the portal in Gothic style, which was recovered by the medieval church of St. Francis in Stampace, demolished in the 19th century. Entering in the shrine, the architectural characteristic of the single aisle with ogival vault can be admired, divided into 7 bays and 6 transverse arches. The wooden cantarus was rebuilt recently. At the entrance walls can be admired the inscriptions carved on marble, which shows the most important moments of the shrine and the visit of the royal family by the House of Savoy. On the right, we note a stup of exquisite workmanship, which dates back to the 5th century. The oldest find of shrine is the base placed between St. Joseph's statue and the marble pedestal. 3 Aragonese crests, alternated with small carved roses, adorn the front facade, while the thickness is visibly marked by a frieze featured by laurel leaves surely of Roman origin. The chapels are 7, 3 on the right and 4 on the left, in Gothic style with cross vault. Next to the major altar, the first on the right side, the chapel of Our Lady of Miracle, where, in a niche, there is a small wooden statue that dates from Byzantine period, showing Our Lady while blesses with the right hand, and with the left hand holds the child, who blesses and holds a little bird. Then we can admire the chapel of the Sacred Heart. And finally, the chapel of Our Lady of Goldfinch. Painted on tablet by the painter of Cagliari, Michele Cavaro. It shows the Virgin with Child Jesus in her arms and St. John that presents a little bird to Child Jesus. On the left, the first chapel serves as a baptistery. While the last, which leads to the gateway to the sacristy, we can find the group of Pity. The other 2 are the chapel of San Raimondo Nonnato, Mercedario Cardinal, and the chapel of the Holy Marianna of Jesus, Mercedaria Religious. The presbytery is raised compared to the floor of the building and is enclosed by a balustrade decorated with a golden mosaic. The steps for access are solid. On both sides of the presbytery there are two graves. On the right, that of God's servant, Friar Antonino Pisano, died as a saint. On the left, the gravestone of CS legislator Domenico Alberto Azzuni, creator of the Universal Code of the Principles of European Maritime Law. On the front wall are placed niches within the statues of Saint Peter Nolasco and Our Lady of Mercy. At the center of the arch of apse hangs, supported by a string, the mysterious and strange small ship of Egyptian facture, carved in a block of carved inside. The small ship has the bridge derived from a single tablet of the same material, and with a small tree supported in the center of the bridge with silver blackened threads. This mysterious and infallible instrument showed to the sailors, with its fluctuations, the direction of the winds off the Gulf of Cagliari, and it was consulted by captains before each departure. On the vault of the presbytery there are two frescoes of Gina Baldracchini. One represents the Immaculate Conception with the various supporters of this dogma, including St. Peter Pascasio, Ambrogio Machin, and Monsignor Gaspare Prieto, three Mercedari religious. The second depicts the landing of cash on the beach below the shrine. There are visible also the castle of Cagliari and the ship through the cash at sea. The apse of the shrine, where is placed the image of the Holy Virgin of Bonaria, is shaped polygonal, built with stone, limestone, tuff and tramezzario from quarries near the shrine. The altar is in solid white and pink marble of Assisi, with an antependium enhanced with colored stones and golden mosaics. The door of the tabernacle is decorated chisel, and there are the Agnus and the Seraphims. At the middle of the apse, between the altar and the wall, stands out the throne of the Holy Image. Coverage niche is supported by 4 columns of green and pink marble, on which there are pairs of pink marble angels of Bellini. On both sides, a passage with the ladders reaching the stand where the Madonna is placed. The statue holds in her right hand a candle that is lit during religious ceremonies, and silver boat that recalls his coming. The wooden sculpture is a unique piece of carob and is characterized by a seraphic face and great composure, which commemorates the face of a mother surmounted by a gold crown, a gift of King Vittorio Emanuele I. The shoulders are covered by a thick head of hair that fall along the bust. The Virgin wears a tunic retained by a belt, covered by a green and blue coat, decorated with golden flowers. The miraculous statue stands here to witness the miraculous discovery that, in that faraway 1370, brought from the sea to the convent, now, like yesterday, is claimed and prayed by the faithful, not only in Sardinia. Passing through the steps of the Chapel of Pity, we reach the contiguous passage to the sacristy. Here we find a large window collected in the wall containing the cash that kept the statue of the Madonna. Can be noted the large iron hinge and the consistency of wood used. Along the walls of the passage, numerous paintings and other ex voto. The sacristy was built around 1666. characterized by the barrel ceiling and large windows, furnished by antique furniture with a large table in the middle of the room. The walls are posted numerous paintings by painter Domenico Conti, influenced by Spanish school and implemented during the second half of 1600. In the two lunettes of the walls are depicted the transport of cash from the sea to the church and the Madonna of Mercy. All other paintings depict saints of the Mercedarian order or episodes and characters linked to the redemptive spirituality of the institute. It is not certain that painter Domenico Conti was a Sardinian, but certainly resided in Cagliari for a long period. Many churches of Cagliari have paintings similar to his style. Gate of the shrine, we enter in the basilica. The construction of the great temple began in 1704 and ended in 1926 due to interruptions, usually of a political nature. According to the initial draft of the architect Felice de Vincenti, the basilica is built on blocks of limestone derived from the numerous quarries of the hills of Bonaria, San Bartolomeo and Saint Elia. Because of the scarcity of financial resources, most of the laborers came from Bath criminal San Bartolomeo, but the specialized bricklayers and stonemasons were local craftsmen. The building has a Latin cross plan with the octagonal dome and has 3 halls separated by white limestone columns from quarries in the hill of Saint Elia. In their capitals, in Liberty style, were carved with the crest of the Sardinian bishops in charge during the Jubilee of 2000. The central nave has a vaulted and barrel roof, while on the sides there are ribbed vaults. The altar is surmounted by a prestigious canopy. Built in 1934, is supported by 4 columns of beautiful green marble characterized by capitals, friezes, and gilded bronze angels. Since 1960, the walls of the transept are occupied by 2 cantarus which supported a great organ pipe, an object of great artistic value produced by the company Tamburini of Crema. The front wall of the presbytery is decorated with a painting by renowned artist of Oristano Antonio Corriga, representing the Virgin Mary surrounded by contemporary Sardinian saints. Recently, the presbytery has enriched with other 2 paintings by painter Salvatore Azzeni, depicting the discovery of a cache with Our Lady of Bonaria. The other, the visit in Cagliari of Pope Paul VI in 1970. Always of the same artist, 4 sails with Marian prophets are placed at the base of the Great Dome. On the side walls are placed 10 chapels, 5 per side, which from an architectural point of view recall the facade of the basilica. Each of them is characterized by paintings that illustrate various Marian titles, except the Chapel of the Holy Sacrament, which is located to the left of the high altar, while on the right there are the Chapel of the Madonna of Victory, built in 1930 in memory of the fallen of the First World War, enriched of the Piety of Montaldi, and the Madonna of the Fighter by Francis Chusa. The additional chapels, starting on the right for the main entrance, are dedicated to the Our Lady Ausiliatrice, to Our Lady Assunta, the Holy Family, and to the Madonna of Fatima. While on the left we find the chapel used to enter in the shrine, and respectively the Chapel of the Rosario, that of the Mercy, and that of the Immaculate. The picture of the Holy Family is by the Neapolitan painter Giuseppe Aprea. That of the Mercy is by the architect Gina Baldracchini, who took care of the work of restoration of the shrine, of the basilica and the facade, while all other paintings are the work of the great Sardinian artist Antonio Mura. Leaving the gates of the basilica, works in bronze by Ernesto Lamagna, can be noted the heat emanated from the white facade of limestone, with the pronaos with 3 lights and round arches. Above the arch, next to the central nave, there is a large window called Loggia of Blessings, and above it there is the tympanum, where is reported the crest of the Order of Mercy. In the basilica we are accepted by the bronze statue of Pope Paul VI, made by the sculptor Enrico Manfrini, in memory of his visit to the 24th April 1970, where a crowd of more than 100,000 people turned the speech of Marian spirituality, addressed to the whole Catholic world. Outside in the square, 2 bronze sculptures made by the artist Franco D'Aspro. To the left of the sanctuary, a few steps lead through the small door in a quiet cloister, in the center of which is located a well-constructed entirely of white limestone and topped by a wrought iron dome. Not far the entrance of the Museum of the Basilica, where there are displayed in showcases valuable items donated by the faithful over the centuries, such as models of sailing ships and steamships, as a sign of gratitude and devotion to the Holy Virgin of Bonaria for the graces received. Among the gifts, chains of some slaves. The mesh of Gigi Riva, and the rosary that Pope John Paul II gave on the occasion of his visit to the shrine in 1985. Now we go into the convent of Mercedari Friar through the main staircase access, called Scala Regia, so named because it led to the apartments reserved for the Spain family or for the persons designated by them. The same archbishops in that period were all from the Spanish territories. Before taking possession of the Diocese of Cagliari, stopped a few days in prayer in this convent. This tradition is still in place. On the wall walls there are different wooden bas-reliefs and a crucifix dating back to the 16th century. Then it passes in the Hall de Profundis, which takes its name from the prayer recited before meals by the friar gathered here. The hall is a small art gallery with paintings depicting religious subjects. Among the most important is the painting that represents the vision of St. Peter Nolasco and that of the Madonna of Mercy. The refectory is the place reserved for meals of Mercedarian friars. The tables are made of juniper wood, derived from old beams of the convent. Also, here the walls are decorated with many paintings depicting Marian images and saints of the order. The library, environment until the 60s, hosted the cells of the novice, has been recently renovated and will be set into the libraries open to the public. Near to the library stands the Aragonese Tower, the oldest part of the complex Bonariense, dating back to early 1300. The tower has polygonal bases that set up above the apse of shrine. Traces remain of the spiral staircase in stone, through which there are the access of the tower, and the inside ancient juniper staircase. This is one of the few remains dating to the period Aragonese. History leaves, however, the step to the spirituality, and to what now we live in the house of the Madonna, Queen of Sardinia. The annual festivities in honor of Our Lady of Bonaria are 25th of March, the memory of the arrival of the cash to the shores of the hill, 24th of April, the liturgical solemnity celebrated in Sardinia, first Sunday of July, the summer festival with the sea procession. Each festival is deeply felt by the faithful devotees of Mary, with the common celebratory moments. A massive pilgrimage to foot parts in the night between the 21st and the 25th of April from Sinai to achieve Bonaria in an atmosphere of prayer and praise to the Lord, who has done great things in her. The first Sunday in July is a celebration of the sea. The Madonna arrives in procession in the port of Cagliari, followed by the main church, politicals and military authorities. She is hosted on a fleet tug of mobilize, specially equipped, and then carried in procession along a route that symbolizes the faraway date on the banks of the hill of Bonaria. The show is exciting. Small, medium, and large ships follow the path. A jubilant crowd that accompanies the simulacro by sea. The vision that comes to our eyes is a unique and unforgettable beauty. The basilica, with all its contours, stands out white and shiny. The patrol boat with the simulacro approaches, as if to simulate a hypothetical landing in perpetual reminder of the arrival of a statue in that place. The route is reversed, and the simulacro, with all its faithful, to follow on boats. Back to square one in procession to retrace the path of starting up at the entrance to the basilica, where the bishop salutes and blesses the faithful interpreter. The Mercedarian community that animates the life of the main sanctuary of Sardinia plays a manifold work, for the Church of Cagliari and for the whole Sardinia. The ministry is of course one common to all the major shrines, the spiritual care of people who look to the house of Mary, reconciliation, which extend the mercy of God embracing sinful humanity, the celebration of the various liturgies and of the sacrament that mark the life of the Christian, the increase of Marian devotion, fundamental pillar of any Mercedarian. Beside these realities that embrace the entire people of God, other pastoral areas are addressed to specific categories. Oratory that raises attention to the care of children and young people, the Center for Listening, with the ear ready to listen the emerging needs, the various groups within the community. A special mention should be given to means of communication. The magazine of the shrine, born 100 years ago in 1908, at the proclamation of Our Lady of Bonaria as a patron summary of Sardinia and widespread within the island, the Italy and abroad. The Echo of Bonaria is a monthly with a circulation of about 10,000 copies. The apostolate of the Mercedari Fathers, guardian of the shrine of Our Lady of Bonaria, take place through a radio station that presents itself as the voice of the shrine.
Sui 104 e 600 in modulazione di frequenza c'è Radio Bonaria, informazione, cultura, sport, alla luce del Vangelo.
His aim and goal is to spread the gospel and Marian message, along with the draft of liberation of the person who comes from the spirituality of the Mercedaria family. Free for free is the proposal that Mercedari make to young people who want to deepen the call to religious life and priesthood addressed to them by the Lord today. The Seminar of Bonaria welcomes these young people and prepares them to enter in the Mercedaria family, to be apostles of love and liberation in the current situation. We conclude our visit to Bonaria back on the square in front of the main temple in Sardinia. A magnificent view appears to our eyes. On the right, Cagliari, its walls and its green terraces. Before the long staircase, the sea and the port, with behind the mountains of Capoterra. On the left, reveal the column in memory of miraculous landing of the cache containing the Madonna. The memory goes to the 25th October 1985. From this square, the Holy Father John Paul II addressed his blessing to the people of faithful. Thousands of people are there to hear his voice.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, sono particolarmente lieto di poter innalzare oggi la consueta preghiera dell'Angelus nel luogo più caro e più sacro per tutti i figli della Sardegna, il santuario della Madonna di Bonaria. Sii tu, Nostra Signora di Bonaria, loro guida e loro sostegno, perché il lavoro a cui stanno per accingersi susciti nel popolo cristiano rinnovato impegno nell'attuazione di ciò che nel Consiglio lo Spirito ha detto alla Chiesa.